Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And as always, it is an honor to be able to enter into debate in this place and stand up for the people of Battle River Crowfoot. And in the short amount of time that I have left, I certainly have some further points to make on Bill S-5, but I would simply note something that I hope, Madam Speaker, you'll give me a slight amount of leave to discuss, and that is Hayden's hopeful journey. And this is the story of a young man who is from a community not far from my own that is, even though he is just in grade 12, is facing his second battle with cancer. And I had the honor this past weekend to participate in a pierogi supper fundraiser where we heard some stories about Hayden and the strength and resilience that this young man, although facing something that many people never face in their lifetime, doing so with determination and grit and with the support of the community, seeing both the fundraiser at this pierogi dinner, an online auction that took place over the course of the preceding weeks, but also a GoFundMe page where the true generosity of rural Alberta has been demonstrated. And I take this moment in the House of Commons wearing a green ribbon in recognition of Hayden's hopeful journey, Hayden Buswell, and acknowledging and wishing him all the best. My family's thoughts and prayers are with him as he battles this terrible disease. Madam Speaker, it is to wrap up a few points on S-5. We have a bill that is before the House, and although I know I had dealt with a number of the overall aspects of what S-5 accomplishes, but certainly some of the concerns that I've heard about this bill has less to do with the original text of the bill, but rather some of the amendments that have been brought forward when it comes to the study that took place in the Senate. Now, Madam Speaker, you and everyone watching will know that I represent an area of the country that is proud to have what I call my two legacy industries. One is agriculture. The 53,000 square kilometers of rural East Central Alberta that I represent has a proud history of being incredibly productive for agriculture and in its many forms. But further to that, the second legacy industry that I talk often about is that of the energy industry. So when it comes to bills that have both a direct but also indirect impact on both of those fields, it certainly makes a significant impact on how we approach many of these issues. And having heard much of the debate that's taken place on S-5, certainly I think that it needs to get before the committee so that we can both study the specifics. But I would note in the moment that I have left how important it will be to examine the amendments that were made in the Senate that certainly I've heard from constituents and a number of stakeholders that have expressed some concerns that the unintended consequences of some of the amendments that were made by the other place may have a negative effect both on our economy and the environment. So, Madam Speaker, I look forward to being able to expand further on this in questions, and thank you very much for this opportunity.
Questions and comments, questions et commentaires. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the Honourable Member for his remarks and for his emotional tribute to Hayden. I know everyone in this House joins with him in wishing Hayden well and a speedy recovery. Madam Speaker, I thought I heard the Honourable Member say that he was very interested in the amendments coming from the other place, looking at them more thoroughly, and I wonder if he supports speedily getting this bill to our Environment Committee, which I serve on, by the way, Madam Speaker, with him to look at these amendments more closely.
Honourable Member for Battle River Crowfoot.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I will certainly pass along the best wishes to Hayden and his family. Madam Speaker, I do find it a little bit ironic, and having I'm not sure I've had a chance to expound on in this place my new role as vice chair of the Committee on the Environment. And I'm very excited to be able to stand up for the people of Battle River Crowfoot in that role. But I do find it interesting how whenever a bill comes before the House and it seems to be debated at any length, not even an extended period of time, the automatic response of any member of the government is to say the only path forward is that of no debate, or you're being an obstructionist. Well, Madam Speaker, I hear from constituents daily, and I'm not exaggerating when I say daily, that they expect me as their member of parliament to take a serious look at every aspect of the legislation that comes before this place and to take the time necessary to do the job that we were all elected to do, to study, consider, debate bills, whether it be in the House of Commons. And I do look forward to being able to, if this bill passes with the will of Parliament, I look forward to being able to look more in depth at the committee stage of this process as well. But Madam Speaker, simply because the government doesn't want to spend time doing their jobs, what I would suggest is a fundamental aspect of their jobs, that doesn't mean that Conservatives aren't. And I find it incredibly demeaning to the democratic process that they...
Questions and comments. The honourable member, questions et commentaires. L'honorable député d'Avignon.
Question and comments, the Honourable Member for Avignon Lamitis, Matan Matapédia. Thank you, Madam Speaker. The government has talked a lot about this bill in the media as though this bill would really give Canadians the right to a healthy environment. During the government's briefing on its bill, we asked public servants the question, will this bill really give Canadians the right to a healthy environment? Their answer was no. That won't be the case. It might be the case after implementation, after about 2 years, but for the time being, no, that won't be the case. Does the member agree with me that it's a bit deplorable that the government is using this bill for marketing purposes to show that it's giving the right to a healthy environment, but that's not really the case in this bill? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I think the member highlights an important point. I have said often that really the only thing that these Liberals are good at is politics. They have shown themselves time and time again that they are a failure when it comes to policy, implementation, and ultimately governing this country. And when it comes to their record on the environment, it is deplorable. They have never met a target. They have missed virtually every emissions target they've ever implemented. They have a tax plan, not an environment plan, and are quick to demonize anybody that points out the facts in this regard. So, Madam Speaker, Canadians should have the right to a healthy environment, but that includes being able to ensure that we have an industry and technology that allows for that to not only be the case here in Canada, but that Canada can and should be a leader in the world when it comes to ensuring that the entire planet has the tools, resources, and ability to have that healthy environment.
Brief question. The honourable member for Central Okanagan, Similkameen Nicola.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I certainly appreciate seeing you in the chair. I appreciate hearing my colleague speaking today about some very important points to his constituents, particularly wishing Hayden the best. But in this bill is basically taking what was a temporary trial experiment in regards to chemical management put forward by the Honourable Rona Ambrose at the time under Mr. Harper. There's a number of amendments the Senate has made without having any practical knowledge of it. Does he think that the system that was developed has stood the test of time? Does he believe that those changes require proper study and before amending?
Brief answer from the member for Battle River Crowfoot.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And again, I will pass along the best wishes to Hayden and his family from this place. Madam Speaker, I think we have highlighted again how it is absolutely essential for us to do our jobs in this place. And the member points out well, Conservatives have a strong history and legacy of good environmental management and protection, and acknowledging the complicated way that that has to be accomplished. And Madam Speaker, certainly when it comes to committee, we need to make sure that we look at both the amendments that the Senate made, but the full subject of this bill to ensure that we get it right, because jobs and our environment depend on it.